Game's easy.
Spy.
Look at it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Swap any 2 cups.
No. Oh no.
Hey there, welcome to Board Game Barrister, our local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm Andy, and I'm here with Glenn, Ian, and Gordon, and today we're talking What the Cup. Let's get into it. Welcome to What the Cup, a game where you're going to need a little bit of luck or a little bit of bluffing, probably a little bit of both, to end up with the high die or the low die at the end of the round. At the beginning of each round, everybody's going to shake up their cup and then peek at what they rolled on their die, and then ante up by putting one of their chips in the center of the table. And then we're ready to get started. We've got a deck of cards here, and on each player's turn, they're going to flip over a card and then follow the action on that card to rearrange the dice or peek at other players' dice. The player to the left of the dealer is going to get us started by flipping the top card and reading it out loud. This player got Spy, which lets them look at another player's die. Now, as we're taking these actions, we're trying to be the die that is either the highest or the lowest one currently in play, depending on which side of our high-low token is currently showing. Now, the next player is going to flip a card, and they get one that says they can change. They can change their die to any value between 4 and 9, or they can ante one more, put another chip in the center to change their die to any value. But there's always a second option you can take when you flip that card over. You can either follow what it says in its text, or as an alternative, you can choose not to do what the card says and flip that token in the middle of the table. Now we're into the bluffing, because if you've got a high value, you might want to make other people think you've got a low one so that they'll trade with you, and so on and so forth. It becomes really interesting. Next player gets Swap, which lets them swap any 2 cups on the table, and now we're getting into where that bluffing really shines, because they may not know what somebody else has. They might choose to swap 2 not knowing what they are. There's different cards that can force people to re-roll their dice or to show it to somebody else at the table, all sorts of zany stuff. We're going to keep flipping cards until somebody flips the game over card, which means the round ends immediately. We're going to look at what the token in the center of the table says, either low or high, and then reveal our cups to each other. The low 7 wins it in this case. The winner gets the pot. They add that to their token pile, and then we start the next round by re-rolling those dice and anteing back up. The game ends as soon as a player runs out of chips, or whenever you feel like you're ready to stop. Alright, so we just finished playing with 4 players. I wouldn't play with fewer than 4 players, I don't think. It's kind of meant to be a social, messing each other up, screwing around, bluffing game, so 4 to 6 is really the sweet spot for this game. It caps at 6 because there's a limited number of cups at the table. If you wanted to, you could pick up a couple copies of the game and then play with up to 12 players in a big group, and it would probably be fine since it's just one person interacting at a time, and it's a pretty just social chat with people, pass the cups when people tell you to game anyway, so if you wanted to force it higher, you certainly could. And we sat and we played for about a half hour and got a really good feel for how the game goes and what sort of game it is. Kind of like your left, center, right if you've played that game, dice games that you just want to be interacting with something while you chat with the other people at the table. Our game didn't appear to be anywhere near ending, so we just decided to stop at some point and say, yeah, that was great, we'll do it again sometime soon.
No! Boo! Dang it! It was so close.
Spy and send.
Oh.
Look at any one die,
Yep,
then send
perfect.
cups left or right. Left.
No! Long game?
No! Did I do it?
The 2 has it.
So what the cup is, I'll call it like a framework game. So it's giving you stuff in a box you can play a game with, and like you're gonna house rule it. You're gonna come out with your own things that you add in or subtract to make this your experience. That's great. It's giving you some tools in terms of these dice cups, the D12s you can get, but I mean, like, this is an important little piece of kit, and the basic rules and the cards. And you can play it just as is out of the box like we did, or you can add silly things. Like we talked like right from the beginning, how do you make this into a drinking game? How do you do other things with it? And, you know, use your own creativity, but I think Ian's got some ideas.
Yeah, I think, so I play a lot of bluffing and dice games, and especially as drinking games, and I think this one leans really well into, instead of using the chips, just bringing a stack of quarters and playing for those. When you have, you know, a betting game, something like this, where you're anteing round after round, it can take a while for people to deplete through their resources, but if those resources are actual dollars, it becomes a lot more intense and a lot more intentional about how you're using those. And then you're really thinking about when you ante, when you drop out of the game, or when you re-up by grabbing another roll of quarters.
Made $3 at the What the Cup table tonight.
$3. Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
I would consider how many chips you want to start with. If I was playing this just as a straight game without adding drinks or some such, the more chips you have, the longer it's going to be, and I think it's on a curve, right? So if you started with 3 chips, it's going to be a pretty short game.
Yeah.
Going up to 5 chips is going to be a much longer game. The rules say just distribute the chips 10 per player at 6, so that implies it'd be 15 for 4. That game's going to take all afternoon.
That was What the Cup. Thanks so much for watching this week. We had a fantastic time with this one. We hope you had a fun time watching. As always, hit that subscribe button to see our videos when we post them every single week. Hit that like button, leave a comment if you got a comment, and check out our online store. We got the What the Cup, and we got a bunch of other cool games. Thanks so much for joining us this time. We will see you next week.